Don't go into the water, kids.
I think we're going to need a bigger boat. Ooh.
Smile, you son of a bitch. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So, everything wrong with Jaws in 9 minutes or less by CinemaSins.
Wait, I thought we were quoting stuff from Finding Nemo.
Oh.
Anyway, hey, yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Fish are friends, not food.
You'll note they never said anything about people.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, hey,
So CinemaSins, one of our favorite channels, and also internet juggernauts.
They do good work.
They do awesome work. We love them to death. And they recently did Everything Wrong with Jaws in 9 minutes or less. Now, Jaws is kind of a landmark film in terms of how much money it made, and for the minimalistic nature of the film, because you had these big epic pictures that had casts of well over a few hundred, and they made a decent amount of money, but they weren't like massive hits.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this one film that taps into one of the most primal human natures: fear.
Yep.
Fear of the unknown. Fear of being out of control. Being in an environment that is out of our control.
I mean,
100%.
Yeah, I mean, we are not adapted to being in the water.
We're not.
We are quite literally out of our element.
Exactly. And
so,
we have things that can trek us across the water, but okay, it takes as one person once said, it takes a hell of a long time to get to London in a rowboat. Said someone trying to get there from New York. Yeah, Jaws. When I was a kid, I saw this film.
Wait, how old?
I was 6.
Oh, this is one of those formative experiences. Ooh.
Yes, it was. It was 1994.
Do you still have a thing about sharks? A little bit?
They are nearly the perfect killing machines in the water.
So, yeah, there's a fair bit there. Okay.
Well,
all right. Well,
here's another thing, too. We went to the beach that summer. I barely set foot in the water.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The deepest I got was about like halfway at my calf deep. Halfway calf deep. That's about it. And then eventually my fear subsided. And then a far inferior movie by the name of Deep Blue Sea.
Ah, yes.
I watched it.
Yeah.
And to see Samuel L. Jackson, it's like, we're not going to fight anymore. First, we're going to seal off this pool. Ah!
And it's just like,
well, okay. And
sure.
And
all right.
Guess where we were on our way to
the
when
beach.
We saw that movie. Yes, the freaking beach.
Yep.
Again.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
So how it goes.
So Jaws is a landmark film because it's the first film that during the film's release, they coined the term blockbuster.
Yep.
And what that meant was people stood on the streets so long it literally busted up the concrete. It literally wrecked the concrete, and they call it a blockbuster. And to me, that's just a cool sounding thing.
That is really cool.
Blockbuster. It's just like huh. There
you go.
Well, the term blockbuster also reflected Rocky. I think it was Rocky Marciano. They called him the Brockton Blockbuster, but that was boxing, and this was like the first film that had this effect of doing that. Of it had that element that just made people just want to see it again and again and again and again.
Yeah,
and at the time it was one of the highest grossing films of all time. In terms of I think total gross adjusted for inflation, it's still in like the top 15.
Dang.
I mean that's
impressive.
Yeah. Which what's number 1? Gone with the Wind.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, a 5-hour epic, are you shitting me? But frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
I mean, Gone with the Wind is one of those classics. But anyway, we're getting away from it.
We are.
CinemaSins, Everything Wrong with Jaws in 9 minutes or less. All right,
yes. That's actually really short.
That is both longer and shorter than I was expecting, actually.
Yeah.
So
usually they do like earlier on they did like 3 to 4 minutes. They had 3 to 4 minutes they spent a few minutes on Twilight. I guarantee if they could go back with the pessimism that they have now,
it might be longer than the actual movie.
Yes. So everything wrong with Jaws in 9 minutes or less, and now they usually do like 13 minutes or 20 minutes.
This is a very recent one.
Yes.
So
this was actually released 3 days ago.
Yeah, to see this in 9 minutes or less. All right.
Yeah.
Well, what say we get in there?
Let's do it.
Just get right in there.
Here we go.
I mean, yeah.
Holy shit, what's wrong with us? We will remove 5 sins because we're total assholes for tackling this movie. This is the most confusing way of stacking actors' names basically ever. Robert Roy? Shaw Richard? Scheider Dreyfus? What the f?
Yeah. All right, fair.
Trust myself.
Movie inspires tons of horror movies where a woman skinny dips and the guy, for whatever reason, can't go into the water with her. Sharks that play with their food. I mean, this shark doesn't seem hungry so much as he seems like a Price is Right contestant playing Plinko.
Oh, that's not going to save you.
Like, eat her legs or anything yet? Did he just give her a ride around the ocean for a bit? What kind of a dick shark is this?
Yep.
Bye-bye.
I know a lot of alcohol is involved, but since when does chasing a hot naked chick cause sudden passing out? Also, he didn't hear that.
It must be in the backyard.
In Amity, you say yard.
They're in the yard, not
Yard.
too far from the car.
That's racist. What the f*** is going on here?
It's
Duster,
more-
2 dish scrubbers, 3 weirdly small
it's more
plastic
stereotypical.
spoons, and a couple of keys, all hanging from a coat rack? I guess whenever
Yeah,
a
that's
young man
weird.
has seen ocean violence, you stick him in a room
Oh,
with
it
a
looks like
deputy and a
Chris
glass of
Hemsworth.
milk water? The f*** is that?
What else could have done that to that girl? Boat propellant?
Well, I think possibly, yes, a boating
That's not
accident.
what.
Brody moved to Amity at least 7 months ago, and this medical examiner's been around God knows how long. But it feels like this is the first time these two have ever been told the town's lifeblood comes from summer tourism. They went about declaring this a shark attack in the most naive way possible, as if there wouldn't be resistance and cover-ups from the mayor and business owners. Yes, this mayor guy is actually wearing
that's
a
a
suit with a
terrible
million tiny
jacket.
white anchors on it. That's good costuming.
Some bad hat, Harry.
Movie unintentionally inspires Bryan Singer, director of movies like Superman Returns and Jack the Giant Slayer, and nothing else. All these tasty legs just dangling around in the water for me to eat. But I shall go after the kid on the raft. His mom will be the most pissed.
We don't even know if there's a shark around here.
Look, no doubt there would be business owners and politicians who would deny the fact of a shark out in the water. But ignoring 2 deaths, including one that happened right in front of 100 people? I mean, Jesus, this is stupidity that only happens in movies. And real life, I guess. Damn. Sin for real life?
Why? Is that necessary?
Literal fingernails on a chalkboard to get attention, as opposed to half a dozen other better ways to get attention in a crowd of roughly 24 people. Also, I know nails across a chalkboard can be annoying, but there's no way this sound pierced all the sound of the dumb people arguing that there's no shark and there totally is one. Also, can we take a look at the shot just before Quint starts scratching the chalkboard? It doesn't appear he's drawn that crude picture of a shark eating a child yet, and he doesn't seem to be anywhere in the background. Quint apparated here, or used the flu network. He definitely used his right hand to scratch a chalk-covered chalkboard, immediately uses the same hand to shove food in his mouth, thereby assuring he's eating some amount of chalk. Brody checks out every
not that
book
bad.
that an overeager library would lend him. And he didn't even check out the book with the pictures of the weird sacrifices like everyone else in horror movies does.
He's not on the ocean. He is in a boat. He's not going to go in the water.
If this kid is as scared as you say he is, I highly doubt he'd get that close to the water either.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Foreshadowing. It's f***ing amazing after all these people come to the island to hunt down the shark and the media frenzy that occurs, that people don't decide not to go to Amity this summer no matter what happens. I mean, publicity-wise, this town is already Lots of stupid and
Yeah.
dumb people drive their
Mr.
inadequate
Hooper.
boats in the water looking for a man-eating shark, and somehow there are no deaths or injuries.
$8,000 divided 4 ways is
I'm not sure if you can hear it, but some guy on one of these boats just asked what $8,000 divided by 4 is. And that guy is definitely not qualified to be out here. Not because of his terrible math skills, but because he waited until now to even ask this. This
Yeah.
batch of chum was made with strawberries. Amateur celebration.
Good fellas.
Yeah, that's not
Be
it.
reasonable, huh?
No one wearing this suit, shirt, tie combination should ever utter these words.
Looks like a car
Still, my
salesman.
boy is dead now.
Honestly, no idea how the sheriff doesn't commit seppuku after this kind of public indictment.
They caught a shark, not the shark. Not the shark that killed Chrissy Watkins.
By the way, did Chrissy's family ever show up to ask about her? She was pretty young and probably had a family, right? Or was she just one of those mystical fairies that show up at parties beckoning drunk guys to swim naked with them?
And then gets eaten by a freaking shark.
Chief of police.
America.
Just like I thought. Came up in the Gulf Stream from southern waters.
A Louisiana license plate does not prove the shark came from southern waters. Last time I checked, people of all sorts of states drive their cars into other states.
That's true.
So if the shark really did swallow this license plate in southern waters and then went north, how did it not expel this thing one way or the other during the time it took to get to Amity? I mean, yeah, I get it. This is the shark. Come on, man of science. Some of these are bad deductions.
It's only an island if you look at it from the water.
That makes a lot of sense.
Hooper would be excellent at CinemaSins. Hopefully leaves behind a
Good
tooth
one.
so Hooper can find it and know for sure he's still out there. That or he's hoping Hooper will slip $1 under his pillow tonight.
Ooh.
Come on, man. You stare at the dead guy for 5 seconds and then you react and drop all your I mean, it would have made sense if it happened right here, but you looked at it for hours before dropping the evidence.
Where is that tooth?
This guy believes that 2 qualified people would bother to tell him the shark's still out there with absolutely no motive to lie about it. And even if the mayor saw this tooth, would that even make a difference? And this guy still has anchors sewn into his suit, my God.
Those proportions are correct.
Love to prove that, wouldn't you? Get your name into the National Geographic.
Yeah, but he only gets his name in there if he proves the shark is there, not by making up a story so he
Yeah.
can kill the whole town's tourism industry.
But those beaches will be open for this weekend.
It is now officially astounding that Brody doesn't do more at this point, like call the Coast Guard or the national media. Yeah, he might be out of a job here in Amity, but does he really need this job? Can't he find some other sleepy town to sheriff? One thing I've always wondered, have these assholes somehow not heard about the shark attacks? It's one thing for the town to fight over keeping the beaches open, but the real problem should be that after 1 or 2 shark attacks, absolutely no one would be coming to these beaches. MTV.
Yeah.
One family braves the waters, and everyone who was scared before decides to go in without trepidation. Steven Spielberg directs his ass off so much in this movie, I nearly missed the part where he throws Coca-Cola in our faces. Nearly.
Sponsorships. Oh.
Seriously, how did these kids not get shot? Even a little bit. And after 10 seconds of contemplation, these people finally realize that these kids are not a shark.
It was his
Y'all are
idea.
Works out with the
dumb.
hoax just before he attacked, so that this will seem like a hot girl who cried wolf scenario. The hero's son falls into the shark water, and all I can think about is Mary Jane wants it. I think that means a sin or two is in order. You may not have heard it, but someone's yelling, "Does anybody have a gun?" Amazingly, this is America, and no one does.
It was a
Didn't they
different
just
time.
show a lot of people having
Yeah.
Fucking baby. Ah, the days you could smoke in a hospital. Wait a minute, what am I saying? Let's think product placement, or even excessive product placement, is a new concept. Please consult Del Monte, Campbell's, and Heinz.
You
Yep.
screw around with these tanks and they're gonna blow up.
That's some nice foreshadowing there, Lou. Nice foreshadowing.
Uh-oh.
piano wire.
This is a bad idea.
This movie is spectacular when it comes to suspense. I mean, virtually nothing of note happens in this scene, but the sin counter refused to poke me with a stick like it usually does when it's time to write something. It's setting things up for later, it's masterfully done, and it's why we love the movie.
Will it prove
Wow.
one
Well,
thing,
high
Mr.
five
Hooper?
again.
Good.
Proves that you
Go.
wealthy college boys don't have the education enough to admit when you're wrong.
Man, this movie really hates smart people. Wow,
Yeah.
good thing this shark doesn't show up much in the movie.
Hello there,
I wonder if
but
they meant to do that.
We've got one barrel on him, so we stay out here till
Yep.
we find him again.
Yeah, but we could radio in and get a bigger boat out here.
Nobody cares what you have to say, Brody. You're in a Spielberg film, in a time where odd transitions were oddly the norm.
oddly.
I
Yeah.
got that beat. I got that beat.
Movie steals the scar showing scene from Chasing Amy.
Hey, Martin.
So I read the shooting star is genuine and not a digital effect. But then Spielberg would start digitally adding them in seemingly every movie after this, making this one less special. So shooting star unintentionally inspires Spielberg to run the effect into the ground. With so
Fair.
few chances to actually hit this shark when it surfaces, why not attach a second barrel to the harpoon rope? Or hell, even 3. The shark is plenty big enough to take them down, so what's with this one at a time bullshit?
Yeah.
And why do we suddenly have children running through a prairie music playing during this scene?
Yeah, that's
God damn
real
it.
weird.
Hooper drops everything when he's down in the water. He had his
Yeah.
8 Mile moment earlier. Now here's where he's supposed to lay down the sick rhymes about Clarence's parents having a real good marriage. I mean, damn, dude.
Smile, you son of a...
Good thing bullets cause things like this to explode in movies. Phew.
50. Only
Wow.
50.
Wait.
We're gonna seal off this...
Yes.
Well, that happened.
Ah.
That happened. Wait for it. And go.
Arizona moon keep shining
Three amigos.
from the desert sky above.
Shush. Huh? He's here. What, catfish hunter? He's by the sandbar. You know that damn fish is older than I am?
This means something. This is important.
Well, what am I supposed to do while you're gone?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing! Stupid! You're so stupid!
stranger in the ass, Larry.
Whoa.
A town with money's a little like the mule with a spinning wheel.
Oh
It's
no!
Oh, no.
Dr. Frankenstein, and he's certainly getting the welcome he deserves.
Oh no.
Just sit right back.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I was waiting for this one.
I never knew my father.
Okay. The key point of one of the scenes in this was Roy Schneider's reaction whenever he backs up and he says, "You're gonna need a bigger boat."
Yeah.
That actually was an improv line.
I fully believe it.
Because they said, I think I forget what line he was supposed to say, but eventually Spielberg gave him free reign to just
It's
improvise.
like, all right, what have you got?
And then you're gonna need a bigger boat. And now that's one of the
Yep.
quintessential lines.
Yep.
And also they didn't point out any of the there's great suspense in this film that is built, and it also has actually has pretty good payoffs in some ways.
Mhm.
It's just like when the captain is explaining, he was on the USS Indianapolis,
Mhm.
and why he'll never wear a life vest because he just got so sick and tired of waiting, and that the way that scene unfolds and is told, the tension that builds just from Robert Shaw giving the explanation of how it felt when 1,000 men went into the water and only 400 made it out. The worst shark attack in history. I mean, they just kept taking them one by one, which to me is just horrifying.
Yeah.
And you're stuck there because nobody knows you're there. Nobody knows you're there.
Well,
oh.
So I've heard, and I don't know how accurate this is, but one of the reasons that when a plane goes down, when they give you the life vests, they're orange. It's not so that you'll float there.
It's because they can see you from the water.
Because it's way more visible.
Yeah, and well, considering that
it's an odd type thing.
Well, considering that they were actually on a secret mission to deliver the nukes, actually, that's what they were there for. So there were no transmissions anywhere.
Yeah.
That revealed that the USS Indianapolis is out delivering. Instead, and it needs to be, and they need to check in. Instead, it's just
radio silence. Yeah.
Yeah, and oh gosh, and also with Robert Shaw, getting with Quint getting devoured.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers, by the way.
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
this movie's 40 years old. If you haven't seen it already,
wait, did you say it came out in
76?
Oh, then yeah.
This movie is 40 years old, man. 40.
Wait, okay. This movie is 40 years old, and it only got 50 sins. Think about that. Like, even if you knock out the fact that they did negative sins,
yeah,
that's still 60 sins total.
Yeah.
Think about that.
It's tremendous.
When there are movies that come out now,
they get decimated.
Yeah, get absolutely destroyed. Like, there are movies that have come out, that are half as old as this movie that got twice as many sins.
Yeah. Yeah. And
sort of an interesting little situation there.
Well, I can see how some of them got a lot of sins. Some of the movies they watch are just bad. Like, case in point, I'm looking on here, and I'm seeing Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah, that's... Mm-hmm.
I'm also seeing Paranormal Activity 4, and I'm also seeing Battleship.
Well, okay, everything wrong with Battleship in 6 minutes or less.
Yeah.
There were 9 minutes or less for this one. How? What? No.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm guessing they were very rapid fire.
Yeah, I guess so. That's probably the only explanation I can come up with as well.
Yep.
So, happy 40th anniversary, Jaws.
Hey.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg.
This
40 years ago. Yeah, not just him, but John Williams as well.
Yeah.
this was like Steven Spielberg's big movie push because
this was his big break.
Well, actually, he had several films before this.
But wasn't this the one that like really sort of like skyrocketed
his popularity a lot? And after this, he did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which I liked a lot as well.
Yep, that's an old bit.
Bum, bum.
Yep.
Window breaks. I remember that scene when I was a kid. Oh my gosh, blew my mind. Because when you're a kid, things are just so much more big and bombastic.
Oh yeah.
And when you're an adult, there are things that are still big and bombastic, especially when you're aware of the scope and scale. When you're a kid, you're more aware of it because you're so small.
Yeah.
I mean, because when I was a kid, that right there, that used to. Well, there I'm pointing at this old door.
Oh yeah.
That belonged to my grandparents. That was huge to me.
I mean, everything, when you're smaller, everything's bigger in scale, really.
Yeah.
Is the way it seems. But
and unless you are exposed to something that is truly majestic, like we live in the mountains, and there's some landscapes here in the mountains that are just tremendous to look at, and you think these pretty much look like they go on forever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's one of those things that when people grow up, they lose that general sense of scope and scale, and it kind of makes them cynical when they approach some films.
Well, I think there's also a particular case, and I was talking about this with somebody the other day. So I'd say Jaws would also fit under this, but if, for example, somebody today went back and watched Citizen Kane. Now, Citizen Kane being a very pivotal film in the development of motion pictures.
Yes, absolutely.
And somebody went back and watched Citizen Kane today, and they went, this is kind of dull. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things that developed off of that movie.
Yeah.
That it now seems commonplace. And I think Jaws may actually run into that somewhat.
Well, yeah, I could see that. Well, I can see why you'd say that about Citizen Kane. I've watched Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
And I watched it as part of a film class. And the majority of the people I was in the film class with,
they didn't get it, did they?
No, they didn't.
Yep.
And there's actually another movie. It was actually one that had Andy Griffith in it, called, I think it's Stark Raving Mad, where he plays this.
I have never heard of this movie.
Oh my goodness, it has one of the best portrayals of somebody whose ego just takes over. Because Andy Griffith portrays this guy who's an absolute just bad person.
All right.
And he's a drunk. He's belligerent. He's racist, and they make him the host of this variety hour, kind of like how Dick, not Dick Van Dyke, but American Bandstand. You know how they did?
Oh yeah,
Dick Clark did American Bandstand.
Yeah, I was like,
pretty much.
Are you trying to say Dick Clark? Is that where you're trying to go with this?
Yeah, Dick Clark.
Yeah,
where Dick Clark did American Bandstand, it's pretty much the same concept as him, and he's huge because he puts on this persona.
Yeah,
and then whenever the cameras are not rolling whenever the cameras are rolling in the studio, that they have the credits rolling, and he gets so comfortable talking to his usual audience, he starts revealing how he actually feels about the audience who watches the show, but they have the audio turned down.
Yep. So
they have the audio turned down.
Nobody else hears anything.
So nobody hears anything, and the girl the woman that he'd been with throughout the majority of the film, who he cheated on, and had pretty much she'd had enough of his bullshit. She breaks into the production booth, and she turns the audio up. And his show's at like peak popularity. He's like the number one guy that everyone wants to know and see, and it has probably one of the best cathartic lines I can really think of. And he goes over to the elevator. This is back when elevators had operators in them.
Oh yeah,
They'd push the switch down or up, and it's right after that's happened. He has a cigar in his mouth. He goes up and he looks over at the bellhop, and he's just like, straight to the bottom.
That's good. That's good.
It's just like
that's really good.
And nobody else got it. And I saw that, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh!"
No,
really?
that's really good.
And everyone's just like, "What? And I'm like, straight to the bottom, because that's where he's going now.
That's where he's at now.
And they're like,
"What?"
And I'm like, because his show's so popular, but now everyone knows what he actually feels.
One thing happens, and he's
straight
at
to
rock
the
bottom. Yeah,
and they're like, oh,
which of course is the wrong reaction because they're
sorry. My foot caught it there.
Yep. But yeah, like everybody else is just like, oh, which the reaction they're supposed to have is the reaction you had, which was laughing hysterically.
Yeah.
But
let's see.
I have never heard of this movie.
Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, go look up Andy Griffith's filmography. Yeah.
Oh, Facing the Crowd. Facing the Crowd. That's it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Oh, that's Facing the Crowd. I'm sorry, Stark Raving Mad. I don't know where I got that.
Yeah, that's a weird
from.
Crossover.
Yeah, I don't know where I got that mixed up with. But oh wait,
wow.
no, I remember now because it was on because they had before the film played, they like saw what some critics said about it.
Yeah.
And I remember like one of the big things that popped up was it was Stark Raving Mad.
Yeah.
It was them talking about Andy Griffith's portrayal. He is Stark Raving Mad.
Okay.
And for Andy Griffith going from Sheriff Andy Taylor
Andy Taylor was after this.
Yeah, this was before he got involved with that. But just to go from this to Andy Griffith, or Sheriff Andy Taylor on the Andy Griffith Show is just like wow.
Yeah. Walter Matthau was also in this movie.
Yeah,
I love Walter Matthau.
And
Walter Matthau's great.
Yeah, and this film I saw it a long time ago in one of my film classes, and it really changed my thinking of Andy Griffith, because only thing I'd really heard about him, or only exposure I really had to him, was the Andy Griffith Show.
I mean, that's the exposure everybody's had.
And it's
to
a
him.
humble slice of Americana. That's really all it's supposed to be. And then I saw A Face in the Crowd, and it's just like, whoa.
Yeah. It's a heck of a shift. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the fact that Jaws is 40 years old scares me.
That's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, and
that movie's older than we are. Like, that movie is half again as old as we are.
Yes, it is.
Think about that.
Oh, gosh.
Man.
So
we're gonna go feel old now.
Yeah, we're gonna go feel old now. We hope you all.
I can already feel my lumbago acting up.
Yeah.
I have the sudden urge to yell at kids to get off my lawn.
Get off my property.
Oh, my bursitis.
Who are you talking to? Everyone. But
where am I?
So
who are you?
Once again,
Who
thank
am
you
I?
all for tuning in.
Yeah.
If you liked what you've seen here, let us know. Leave a comment down below. Let us know if there's anything else you want us to watch. Also, check the description for the original video. Show some love to CinemaSins, guys, because they put out some awesome content.
Yep.
And also check the description as well for all of our various other endeavors, including our other channel where this man over here plays
entirely too much Fallout.
As a matter of fact, we just hit our 100th episode, so hey. And well, until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you later, everyone. Peace out.